Prepare to step into a world where imagination knows no bounds as we present Legends, Loot, and Lore. Join host, DM, and self-confessed Dice Goblin Andrew, who will guide you every step of the way into the realm of Dungeons & Dragons. From actual gameplay and cooking up delicious D&D foods to interviews with other D&D fans and newbies, this podcast is your gateway to becoming the hero of your own story. Whether you're a new adventurer or a seasoned traveler seeking new insights, Legends, Loot, and Lore has something for everyone. After the episode, visit our website at www.legendslootandlore.com for even more resources and exclusive content. And if you're as passionate about this adventure as we are, help support our quest at legendslootandlore.supercast.com. Embark on this odyssey with us and let the echoes of ancient tales guide you toward a destiny filled with limitless possibilities. Roll for initiative, because your adventure begins now.
Welcome, everyone, to the Legends, Loot, and Lore podcast. We're doing an evening. This is like an evening recording for me. This is great. We are
an after dark sesh.
After dark, Legends, Loot, and Lore after dark. I feel like I'm in an episode of 90210 at the Peach Pit. But anyway, don't mind me. So we are here with the hosts of Table Talk, the official all things tabletop RPG podcast with the hosts Mariah and I cannot roll my R's. So
hey, you're good.
So Alejandra. So tell us a little bit about your podcast. Talk about maybe what got you started. What was your inspiration for doing this, and share some memorable moments of because I think we started about the same time, probably early midsummer.
Yeah.
So what's your journey been like? So start from the beginning.
For sure. Mariah, do you want to give the spiel? Or?
Yeah, I'll give the spiel of how we started, and then if you want to give our little press junket marketing girly
tag
bit
team,
that
let's
we've
go.
come up with. Yeah, so we had talked about it for a couple of years now, because like Ollie and I have been good friends for quite a few years at this point. And it started as most of those things do, as like the very stereotypical, like two best friends. Oh my God, we should have a podcast. And it was it was a joke. And then I was like, is the joke still a joke? And then it's like, well, what if we did it? Well, what would it be about? It's like, okay, well, D&D, obviously, and TTRPGs, because that's like what we do with most of our free time. And then it just really snowballed from there.
Mm-hmm.
And we started doing it. And then shortly after we started, we went to PAX Unplugged. And that was a crazy, awesome experience for us. We met so many people. We made a lot of friends. And we met a lot of friends that we had already made online. And we had this came out of it with this huge lineup of guests that we're still meeting with and recording. And it's just, we've carved out this fun little niche for ourselves where we're talking about everything that is related to TTRPGs, from mechanics and dice hoarding and the interpersonal interaction side of it, and the gaming industry at large and imposter syndrome. And we're talking about everything around it, and we're not actually going into doing the actual play. I think that's something we would like to do, but both Ollie and I have no chill when it comes to anything. So we're we gotta wait until we can have a whole in-house production setup.
Whole production.
So that's a couple years down the line we started plotting it. But yeah, we both work in marketing. We're both pretty business focused, and I think both of us in general, both Ollie and I have said this to each other, of we're the only really friends, because they're very stereotypical, don't go into business with your friends. But Ollie and I are very compatible, and we have a lot of compatible skills, and we see a lot of the things the same, and we have both business backgrounds. So there's a lot of things that we just inherently know, and either where one person is an expert in something the other person isn't, and vice versa. And so it's just kind of been a fairly seamless process. I mean, nothing is ever fully seamless, right? But as these things go, like I feel like we've kept a pretty good clip the whole time since we started.
That's amazing.
Mariah and I do share a brain cell, and
We
like
do.
99% of things, whenever we like start to broach the subject, I'm like, no, I'm in full agreement with you and like on
Yeah.
the same page. And it's like cool, just double checking. But
it's nice.
we've worked really well together.
That's awesome. So, okay, so now, of course, my question is, because I as well am in marketing. So what are your fields in marketing? What are your specialties?
So mine is social media, as well as like like in my profession I was
Mhm.
doing a lot of like the general like campaign marketing management
Yep.
for the companies that I worked for. And that's mostly like my focus.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I mean, I did some marketing in college. As far as like actual adult business stuff, I cut my teeth in tech. It's still where I work. I do a lot of like content marketing and also similar of like campaign management and being that subject matter expert for how we talk about the certain products and words specifically. I work in application security, which is a
Mhm.
nice, fun, little nerdy sector to be in. And I've dabbled a bit in social media and things like that, but I like the campaign and the conceptual, strategic side of marketing a lot. That's quite fun
Yeah.
for me.
And I'm in like the real estate sector.
Nice. Oh, very
Mhm.
interesting. I'm always curious. It's so our podcast started out with a friend and I, and very similarly, I think we'd started off right around I got laid off of my job, and I had started a podcast at work for our bank, and I'm like, I really loved the whole putting it all together, recording
Mhm.
it, editing it. I loved all the aspects of doing a podcast. And I'm like, so like, how can I do this in my life? And like, and we had the same thing. Like, what are we interested in? D&D.
Yeah.
So why not? That's awesome. So 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 talk about some of the what are some of the interesting guests you've had on your show? What have been some of the interesting topics that you've had the opportunity to discuss on your podcast?
We just
Yeah.
at the time that we're recording this, the most recent episode, not this week's episode, but the episode before that, was
Uh-huh.
by far the most unhinged thing we've ever recorded and put out on the internet. And it was just us talking about irrational fears for an hour with because we were part of the big like TTRPG fundraiser for Doctors Without Borders in
Mm-hmm.
January. And so one of the people,
Aaron Mann from
yep,
Big D&D Energy.
yeah, who's fantastic, and shout out Aaron, he's lovely. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. That wasn't the original point. I think I'm mostly responsible for diverting us
You
onto
did
that track.
derail us.
But we can usually get back on the track, and that never
Right.
happened.
We did not.
It went straight to hell.
She took the wheel, swerved us off the road, and we were all just in that ride
Amazing.
and adding our own irrational fears to
Yeah.
it. And then by the end of the episode, I was like, and this is a great inspiration for DMs, for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Never tell a DM your irrational fears, because they will come to life at somewhere in the campaign.
Yeah.
For sure.
We've had a ton of really, really awesome guests. Like the episode that we had with Talking XP, who was one of our first guests, is still one of my favorites because we talked a lot about imposter syndrome. And then we just became really like genuinely good friends with Johnny at this point. I think another one that is pretty notable and has, I think, had the most effect on people is the Toxic Tables episode, where we talk about how to, one, identify that you're at a toxic table, and knowing that it's okay to leave it, even if you're having that feeling of like, this is the only time I get to play D&D. You don't have to like suffer through a not ideal situation just because you feel like you're not going to get any D&D at all. Like, you can and will find other tables with people that are much healthier to play with, and you'll enjoy those games so much more. And that, I think, is the episode that like we got into it because like, I mean, honestly, truly, our journey is deeply tied to us leaving a very toxic table.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be DMing if I didn't do it,
Nor would
because
I.
that kind of forced me
Right.
into the position.
Right.
And it's been the best thing that we ever did,
Yep.
to be honest. So we've had a lot of people react to that episode and like tell us that it's inspired them to leave not ideal situations. So that one I keep like close to my heart as a favorite, just because it makes me feel good that it helps people.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
we also
love
had a
that.
really great episode with SJ McKean where we just kind of talked about
Oh my God.
that was like it got
It was
very
like a therapy session.
very therapy psychopomp, which like that's my shit. I love that.
Uh-huh.
But it was very just like digging into like being a creative and dealing with imposter syndrome and how do you build, because like he has like whole world of Evandale and he creates so much cool stuff, and so he talked about that, but then also like the psychological side of like how not second guessing yourself and like how you go about forming the world, and like when do you draw the line where it's like, no, we can just call a chair and we don't have to like come up with a fun mythological name for everything, because then we'll be insane. Because we're not all Tolkien, unfortunately. Like, well, not even unfortunately. Like, it's not, you don't have to go quite that hard.
You don't got to go that deep.
No. You don't. You really don't. And it's funny. We now do an actual play once a month, which is you're absolutely right about the production of it is insane. But
wild.
But oh yeah. But one guy that plays with us he DMs a campaign that I'm in, but he said the same thing. He's like, sometimes a room is just a room. It doesn't have to be filled with a ton of stuff. You know, you can just walk into an empty room. There doesn't have to be a mimic like hiding in the corner. Like it doesn't have to be this big elaborate thing. Yeah.
Crazy how in a world of magic there's still a broom closet.
Right.
Like
exactly.
that just has brooms.
Absolutely.
You still have to like wash dishes somehow.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me go back to. This just because I talked about my list of questions. So let me ask you this question.
Okay.
Okay.
If you could enchant one mundane object in your home to perform one task forever, what would it be, and how would it potentially hilariously backfire?
I have a question.
Yes.
Is it going to be performing this task constantly forever? Or will it perform the task forever
when appropriate,
when needed? So like, for example, a coffee maker. If it's a coffee maker, is it just always going to make coffee? Or is it going to make coffee every day at 8 a.m.?
I would say it's gonna do it at its appropriate time. Think of like a Roomba. It just kind of goes when it needs to go. It doesn't it doesn't have to. It's not going to go 24/7. So absolutely.
Okay. I have my answer.
Ooh.
If you need a second,
you can go first because I'm trying to.
Let's hear it.
Okay. I can see this happening very much like a genie wish situation, and like my innate reaction would be like, I need my laundry machine to do my laundry and put it away. That's the thing. I fucking hate laundry. Hate it. And that would be my first gut instinct. The way that I think it would hilariously like turn on me is the fact that the laundry machine now has to scrape itself across my floor to get to my room, gobble up all the laundry, and just like drag itself back to plug itself into the water line and like do it, and then again go back and like put that shit away, and it would just be the most annoying thing, like once every 2 weeks, that this thing has to just fucking scrape itself just like across my floor,
like the actual
just a big conky machine that just has to like
it didn't get magical feet. It's just like fucking gobble.
Oh no.
Like,
You're on a Zoom call for work and you see the thing like scraping the floor behind you,
scraping
like,
across that shit.
You get kicked out.
I'm like, I forgot that it is the time that it's gonna go into my closet and gobble all my clothes.
That's amazing.
It's time.
Yeah.
Okay, I have mine then.
Okay, great. Let's hear it.
My chore that I hate doing and will forever get in trouble for not doing is dusting. I don't know why. It just enrages me. It's probably because I've always lived in places with poor insulation. So it's like I finish dusting and then I'll be damned if there's not more dust already. And I was like, this is a never-ending story that's not cute and is just depressing for me. So I don't do it until it's like a problem for my allergies. And then I'm like, why am I the way that I am? So I would like to have like a little Swiffer, like feather duster situation that would just take care of that. I do think it would go hilariously wrong because me and the duster would run into each other because neither of us would have the appropriate situational, like spatial awareness. And yeah, it'd probably
You'd be like making coffee and it's like going across the cabinets
like
and definitely like
dips into
dusts
the
your face
teacup.
in the
Yeah.
top.
Oh yeah.
And like, or it would like accidentally type an email for me or something like that. It would just go,
Love that.
or it would just scare me. Like I would get home at night and I would forget that the duster dusts on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. And I'm like, oh, there's a spirit in my home. It's like, no, it's just the duster.
You do be having adrenaline issues and you cannot be out here having that shit just moving around.
I do have chronic illnesses, one of which is adrenaline issues, and I startle very easily. It
So
would be
easy.
rough. But it would be nice to
Oh my
not have to
God.
dust. So I feel like we'd have to coexist.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God. It's just, it kind of vaguely reminds me of, was it the Weasleys' home in the Harry Potter movies? Like where everything was like,
Probably, yeah, I think
she
so.
had like everything like the dishes were washing themselves and like, everything was kind of going on in the background. I always just wonder like what that would be like to be able to enchant an item and have it do something for you.
Like every other chore I can do. Literally, the other day I paid someone to do my fucking laundry because I was just done.
I get that.
At a certain
I totally
point,
get that.
like, not doing the laundry, it really becomes like a behemoth task where you're like, I'll die under this pile of laundry. It will never get done.
Yes,
it's a problem. It's a real problem. And like you said, I think for me, it's the folding. It's the folding of laundry.
It's the folding. I can do the laundry.
Right, absolutely, 100%.
It's the putting that shit away.
I don't mind it, but I am bad about like I'm good about washing it. I'm good about getting the wet things either hung up or put into the dryer because I get real weird about things potentially molding. My brain and it stresses me out. I don't know why. Always has. I am bad, but like once the thing is dry, if I'm like, oh, it's reached a safe homeostasis and now I can forget that it exists. And so I'll go to do more laundry and I'm like, oh, there's the towels that have been in there for like 2 weeks and they're dry. It's fine. They're just hanging out.
They're dry and they're clean.
But like, it's fine. I'll just be like, oh, I'm sorry, friends. I'll fold you up now. But like, it doesn't bother me. It just it bothers other people, like my mom who doesn't do that with laundry. Then I'm like, I do just be this way.
It's all right. Like you said, the job is to wash laundry, not to like the folding and putting it away. That's secondary.
As long as it's clean, that's all we can ask.
Exactly. I completely agree. So okay, so we have our enchanted items. So let's go back to even further back in history, and how did you both get started? What was your first introduction to the world? What was it? D&D? Was it another tabletop game? Like what was your gateway drug to the world of D&D and dice goblinism, etc.?
Yeah, I'll go first. So my first initial introduction was I've always been like big into video games. I loved reading fantasy, like #nerd since the moment I could conceive of it. But yeah, I had a friend in early college, like my first year of college, who mentioned Dungeons and Dragons and that he wanted to learn to DM and he had bought all the books. And so he was like, if I get something together, would you play? And I was like, yeah, sure. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm nerd. I'll do it.
Right.
And like he explained it to me and I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. And then I like did research and I was like, oh, I have to like act out my character at a table of people I don't know. And I was like, that induces a little bit of anxiety. And I'm an extrovert, like, but I was still just like, that's not something I've done before. So my solution to that was to bring 2 bottles of wine. I drank one before we had even started.
Solid
choice. The other one sat next to me as I played. So I was like, that loosened me up a little bit. But it was like not a great game, not for fault of his own. He made like a really cool story and I was trying to engage with it as much as possible. The other 2 players not it, Chief. They were just like sitting back on their phones, not really paying attention. If it wasn't combat, they didn't care.
Yeah.
And even when it was combat, they just were like, I do my hardest hit or my biggest spell, and then I go back to not caring.
Right.
And oftentimes the only reason we lived is because I took the time to RP some shit to get us fucking health potions or some shit.
Right.
So it wasn't super engaging,
Mhm.
and we only played maybe a couple times before I was like, this isn't for me. And then like a couple years went by, and then I met our old DM, who's how me and Mariah like got introduced to each other.
Mhm.
And he had known that I had tried it once before. So he was like, if you're interested, we need a player. If you want to join. So I did. And that was the first time I experienced a table of people that were actually like into it, and they were in character. They had voices and all this stuff. And I was like, oh, this, like that was when the
Ooh.
bug bit me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, yeah, I'm addicted to this shit for real, for real. And that from there is history.
That's awesome. So do you remember your first character?
Yeah, her name was Nefera. She was a rogue tiefling, like any good bisexual woman would do. And she had a little owl familiar. At the time, didn't know that rogues can't have familiars. He just let me have it.
Awesome.
And his name was Cosmo. And I think I had a picture of that owl that has like the genetic like mutation to where his eyes just look like literal galaxies.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, this is my burb. I think I did some wild shit that I was like, can I use a disguise kit on my owl to make him look like a dragon and prestidigitate the sound of a dragon to scare these bitches off? And he was like, fuck it, I'll let you do it because everybody else is lame. And I'm like, cool, sick, nasty.
See, that's what I love. I love the kind of ability that you have to just to think of whatever you possibly could to solve a solution. Like I'm always of the school of there's got to be an answer to it, however bizarre it may be, but there's got to be a solution to figuring this out. I just love that creativity. So that's just amazing. That's so
I think from the
cool.
jump, I've always been the kind of player that I'm like, I'm poring over my character sheet
Mhm.
and not just looking at the things that I can do,
Right.
but I'll be like, what's in my inventory? What other like feature shit do I have that I could like play into this turn? And then like how many action like economy things can I get out of this turn?
Oh yeah.
And so I thought from the jump, I was like, the point of the game is to do as much as possible on your turn. So I was like, can I do this and this and this and this and that and that and that? like, and just see what happens.
Love it. That's fantastic. Mariah, what about you? So what's your origin story?
So mine was, I've also been pretty nerdy my whole life. I kind of like, I knew of D&D growing up, but I'd never played it. And then my first job out of college, I was doing QA analysis, and I worked pretty closely with the developer. His name is Dean. Shout out Dean if you happen to be watching this. And so he kind of got me into like the McElroys and their D&D podcast, and just sort of started. He got me into listening to Critical Role, because I was like, I simply can't. It's 5 hours. I simply can't. And then I accidentally spoiled myself because I watched the real sad part at the end, and I'm like, well, now I have to know what happened. Of Vox Machina.
Yeah.
The like I see my mother part of Vox Machina, and I was like, cool, I'm forever broken now, and I must watch it. And so he was just like, it's like, just put on your clean, it'll be fine. Cut to like 85 hours later, it was not fine. Chief, the kids were not all right.
No.
And so Dean and our old DM that has introduced Ale and I, we were all kind of planning to start playing like a little campaign in the office, like after work once a week. And then of course quarantine came, so we got sent home from the office. They're like, we'll see you in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks turned into like a couple months. And then our old DM put together a group and invited me. And so I went and played. And then shortly we played a handful of sessions, and then Ale got brought in as well. And that was my first like actual campaign playing. My first character, her name was Rin. She was a changeling sorcerer.
Oh, I played a shapeshifter once, and
they're fun.
So much fun. There's just so much you can do with that. And it was funny. I played I play the shapeshifter as non-binary because I said because my background was they had changed their shape so many times they don't even remember what their original form was.
What the original was, yeah.
So they were just they are what they are.
Fair.
Yeah. So shapeshifters are just
they're super fun.
I know.
We have a non-binary shapeshifter bard in one of my current campaigns that I'm in, and yeah, their name is Kay. Shout out Kay. But yeah, they're a wonderful little character to play with. They're very flirtatious, and they'll just take on like whatever spectrum of attraction is available.
Yep.
And I'm like, I love this character.
That's fantastic. So let me ask this question to you. So what is your dice collection like?
Pretty substantial. Not so out of hand that it's like concerning, but also not
mine's pretty
not
concerning.
What do you how do you define concerning?
Okay, here's how I'll define concerning and how everybody else should be concerned for me.
Okay.
Every single time I make a character, I don't just get character dice. I have to get between 3 to 5 dice for like a little dice charcuterie mood board of this character.
Totally, I get it.
Because I can't be satisfied with that. Because one, as we all know, you can get pretty dice. Those dice could fucking hate you. So I make my odds a little better because I'm like, I have the aesthetics here, but I know that this specific dice is the one that lucked out and is the one that I need to roll for this character. But I just like to see all the dice together while I'm playing this character, which does mean I spent buku money on dice, and I do have like a bag of holding with like multiple sections in it for all the different
I have one of those too.
Dice types.
Yeah.
And like right now we were in Strixhaven, and I have my big ass dice tray, and I have a dice for every single school on the outer rim, because then I roll those dice for the characters and what school they are specifically in.
I love that so much.
Yeah, I feel like I don't think mine is as bad because I also got one of those like big dice bags with the like little dividers, but mine is like comically huge, so it looks like I don't have that many dice. And I think maybe I've just gaslit myself into thinking I don't have a problem.
Right?
Because there's quite a few dice.
All you need is a bigger bag.
Yeah.
If the bag isn't full.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like absolutely. I have them sorted by color. Because definitely like when I first started playing, I went pretty ham and was just like shiny, pretty rocks. Like I just grabbed them. And now as I got more into buying like the fancier, more expensive dice, I did have to cool my heels because it's not.
You do got to be more selective.
Right. When you're buying the ones that are like 5, 10, 15, even 20, like a pop, you can just eat them like Pringles, but you have to, when we're getting to the fancy boys, we have to like make some calls
to the 60 to 100 range dice.
And so I have now recently,
I admit nothing.
Yeah. Oh, at PAX we saw like there was a lady that made a set of dice that was worth like $3,000, I think. And they were beautiful.
Like $3,000.
They were beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
They were.
Who was that?
Beautiful.
Because I hit all the. I think I hit all the dice vendors.
Oh my god! If you give me a second, I could look her up. Edit this out and post. Hold on.
I'm dying to know, because I know one of my favorite vendors is Dice Dungeons. They're out of Baltimore, and they have
open a tab.
They have like a tungsten D20 that is, I think, like $6,000.
Oh, I got her RG Dice Boutique.
RG Dice Boutique.
Her name is Raquel.
Interesting.
RG Dice Boutique. They're $3,000 because she hand painted like stained glass effects on this shit, and God. Like all the stuff that was on the inside. Like it was insane, and they were in fact the most beautiful dice I've ever fucking seen in my life. Yeah. And I was like, no, yes.
You look at them and
$3,000.
You're like, yeah, no, fair enough.
Right.
Yeah, she was like, no, I don't even remember how many hours like painting all this intricate detail into those dice. And I was like, no, you're these are 100% valued at that, if not more, to be honest. They're gorgeous.
Why have you told me about this site? These are pretty. Why have you done this to me? I thought we were friends.
I love looking at the reflection of the dice shopping
On
in
my
your glasses. We're like, I don't have a problem.
Yeah, there was another vendor that I ran into at PAX. I started watching her on TikTok, and her brand is called Long Dog Dice
Nice.
because she's got a couple of dachshunds, and so it's named after her two dogs, and she does like commissions. So I can't, I don't want to give it away because my players listen to this podcast, but there may or may not be commission dice for their characters, because she's like, send me pictures of the characters, send me their character sheets, tell me their backstories. So she takes all this information and then comes up with like a design in the dice for
I love that.
the character. So I'm so excited.
I really want to have like VTM dice commissioned. And I think if I start doing that, that's going to be a slippery slope, because then I'm going to have one for like this prince and one for that prince. And I can't. I'm cat.
Baby.
She's gonna do this.
She's got socks.
She's blind,
socks.
so.
Oh.
Are you gonna sit there?
Sweet baby.
Just sit there. Come on.
Yep, just lay it down like a scarf.
She does. This is all she does. So she will.
I love it.
She'll stay here.
Cat
This
scarf.
is Dee Dee. Dee Dee is short for Daredevil, because she's the blinds. She's the cat without fear. So
Nice.
she's named after the cartoon character.
If you can't see the danger, the danger can't see you.
Exactly.
Oh, she's a good girl. I have a serious dice problem, and I may or may not have a display case for some sets of dice that.
I would like to do that when I have more room.
Yeah, I found a little. It's like 6 sets of dice from it displays from Amazon, and I was like, some of them are just so nice.
Man, can I talk about the bullshit that we did for that XDM for his little display?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Never regretted a decision more in my life. So we had made, I think this was for Christmas, because we were in like a Ravenloft campaign that went on for like, I think like over a year.
Oh, wow.
And to be fair, the campaign itself, we had great times.
Mm-hmm.
But
the people that are not the people we still play with now, but everyone else trash. The campaign
trash, throw them away. But the campaign itself, like the reason we stuck it out so long was because we were so invested in that story.
Right.
And but we decided we made like a little shadow box display. And so in like a metal tin, which like I hand painted like the lid on it and stuff, and like we set that to the side. We each gave up one of our dice for like a full set, and then it was like of our character dice.
Yeah.
So each of us like chose one. I think I had the D8 because I was the bard and that's my bardic inspiration. Right. So that's what I gave up. But I gave up one that was like from one of my really nice metal sets because she was a Warforged. And I was so pissed after the shit that fell out. Yeah. And I was like, that dice set will never be complete.
No.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, that was like the one good decision I made in relation to that man was to be petty in that circumstance, because I knew in my soul, I was like, this person's not going to stay in my life, and I refuse to fuck up an entire set of dice. So I have some sets of dice that have 4 D6s. So I was like, okay. So immediately when they're like, which dice are we going to go? I was like, I want the D6. Because I was like, then I can give one of those, and like, I won't have all 4, but I'll
not suffer the consequence.
I'll still have a set, and I won't have to sacrifice anything for his dumbass. And that's what I did. And that's like the one good decision I burned all my good decision brain cells on that. I stayed for everything else with I didn't mess up a dice set, so at least no one can take that from me.
But sometimes we fantasize about it, and we're like, do you think he still has that shit hung up, or did they put that shit away once they were like, we're being petty?
Like, sure would be like one of our friends was like, sure would be a shame if we just broke into his house.
If someone broke in there and reclaimed our babies.
Absolutely.
Crazy.
I love it. So that's too funny. I could go on all day about dice, but let me ask this question. So other than D&D, so what other RPGs or tabletop games? Is there anything you're currently playing, or what else do you like to play? Let's talk about that. What's
Go on, Mariah.
I run
Do you shit.
I run Vampire the Masquerade. I run a very heavily modified Fall of London, where it's like we're not really playing with the Inquisition right now. We're mostly just playing with like Prince Anne v. Mithras, because I just want vampire court shenanigans, and then we'll bring in the Inquisition later. So that's one that like I'd watched for years and like wanted to run. It was just too nervous to with that previous group, and then felt comfortable enough to try with like our group of 4 that we have now.
Awesome.
I have Blades in the Dark, which I really want to run.
Okay.
There's also, we played Candela Obscura with Johnny one time, and that was really fun. I would love to play Candela Obscura more. What else?
We've done Overgrown on Roll D5, and that was super fun. Mariah got to play Perils and Princesses.
Perils and Princesses was so good. Yes.
Yeah, super cute game. One that I really want to run at some point is the Dragon Age TTRPG, because I managed to snag one of them books after like a really long hunt for one. And I'm just a Dragon Age whore, and I really want to take them. I don't know if it's okay to cuss on your on your podcast. I didn't ask.
I hope so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we're happy to
because I'm a sailor.
I was like, too late now.
You can bleep us if necessary.
You could just bleep me out, like super funny. But yeah, no, I love Dragon Age, and I like all of them. Mariah's played a little bit of Inquisition.
I need to replay
but the other two, have not. And so I really, and like realistically, not many people are really going to go back to Origins because of how old it is, and the mechanics are, and the graphics are rough, buddy.
Yeah.
I only get through it out of nostalgia alone. But it's rough, and I don't expect anyone to do it.
Origins
but I was
the same way I get through Ocarina of Time and Super Mario 64.
Yeah,
that's mine.
So I've played around with the idea of like running them through the events of Origins as like a TTRPG, and having them pick from like the different origin starting stories, and then like letting that play out how it's going to play out.
And you would need to do like no prep for that because you have a biblical knowledge of,
because I am a steel trap of Dragon Age lore. Like 98% of my brain space is devoted to that.
That's impressive.
When I was like going, because like we're all like, every time I see anything related to Dreadwolf, I will send it to Ollie, and 9 times out of 10 she's already seen it, but I'm like, I still will do it. But when I was like gearing up to start playing Inquisition, which I need to restart it and actually like get through Trespasser, because that's the good stimmy, and not romance Blackwall, because he'll just leave your ass. Spoilers if you haven't played Inquisition, but it's quite an old game. In my defense, he just shows up in your room in the middle of the night, leaning against the wall, and is suddenly like, hey, do you want to be in a relationship?
And what were you to do?
Yeah. The first time I panicked, quit the game, because I was like, I can't make this decision right now. And I was like, okay, but then he just leaves you. I'm like, why Blackwall? Anyway, not the point at all. Separate rant. But like I literally had Ollie be like, okay, just tell me what happens in the first 2 games. And she just rattled it off. And I'm like, fantastic.
I was like, cool, we're going to sit here for like a 4-hour conversation.
Yeah. I'm like, perfect.
Nice. Just lay it all out.
And then also a lot of people, it's my life mission to introduce people to these games and like just indoctrinate them. So anytime someone shows even remote interest, I'm like, cool, I have all of the games and all of the DLC. I'm going to give you my password, and you're going to go in and you're going to play. And I'm like, the only requirement I have is that you stream it to me so I can watch you play and I can enjoy that. So Mariah would have me like watching her play Inquisition, and half the time I'd be like looking at my phone while she's playing, and she'll get stuck, and I'll look up, and I'm like, I have no context for what she's been doing for the past like 30 minutes. And I'm like, so you got to go here and do this and do that, and the boom. And I know exactly where I've recognized that tree anywhere.
Infuriating. Like I would be looking for the shards, and I've walked the same circle in the hinterlands like 18 fucking times. I've gotten mauled by bears. Why are there so many bears in the hinterlands still?
There's so many.
Why have they not been hunted to extinction yet? Like, and then I was like, I cannot find the shard. And I was like, oh, it's up there. And it would be right where she indicated. And I'm like, how? Now, in my defense, because Inquisition is one of those games, like it doesn't auto load the map sections. You load the map sections by walking the terrain, which is a pet peeve of mine. I am much more of a fan of like you get map pieces because I like to see what the terrain is. So I know if there's like a big valley or an insurmountable mountain range that I can't, and I'm just like, let me through, and I'm not going to be able to get through. But that's not how all games work, and that's fine. But like, I just wouldn't know how to get around. But I would be like, no, go here, go here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you.
And I
but
just have
also,
photographic memory of every
the hell?
nook and cranny of those maps.
Wow. There's probably a few games like that I could still remember. It's not an RPG, but I'm very excited for my birthday. For Christmas, I bought my wife the Atari 2600. The original, like one of the original.
Nice.
But it's updated from Atari because it has like an HDMI port, so you can watch your old games in widescreen. But then for my birthday, she got me Pitfall, which is like
nice.
my old school 1980s love. So I am so excited. But again, it's like you know every like where to jump, where to go to this, where to do that. It's just.
I could be 98 years old on my deathbed and somebody could boot that shit up. That would be good.
So you just like you hope for a trivia contest that has like that, like those types of questions. And you're like, this is my category.
Would fucking destroy
This is
somebody.
my category to win.
You don't even need a team. It's just Ollie.
I'd be like, it's just me by myself. Give it to me.
That's right.
And she'd win.
That's right.
No, I have all the. I've read the novels and like all the lore books and extended stuff and the comics and the like you fucking name it. I'm balls deep in that shit.
That's impressive. That's
content.
An encyclopedic knowledge of.
I consume it voraciously.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm impressed.
I'm a little bit like that with Vox Machina, and so them like my friends always started to listen to the campaign of Vox Machina. I've like finally worn her down after 3 years of being like, you should. But the animated series is really like a great gateway drug. But watching it with me, I'm sure is painful because I'm having to just like temper all of my reactions because I can't react to the foreshadowing and spoil things. But I'm like, I'm losing my mind. And they're like, why? What is this? I'm like, I can't tell you. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
It's rough out here.
That's tough. It's always getting somebody like into your hobby or your interest, and then especially like a TV show or something like that, and you're sitting there watching it, and you're like, I know what's gonna happen.
And you have to try to be so fucking chill about it too, because you're like, I just want someone to get to the point where I'm at with it.
Yes.
Like I just need one other human on the face of this earth to love the thing that I love the way that I love it. So then I could just talk about that till the ends of the earth, till the sun bursts in the sky and everything erupts. Like that's all
unmade by entropy.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
Is that so hard?
You have to be super chill about it until they get entrenched.
Yeah.
So on that note, let me ask this question. since we're talking about looking for people with similar interests. So another one of my questions for you, the one that Alejandra I know is looking forward to, which D&D monster do you secretly relate to on a personal level? And what's this?
I prepared for this one.
I didn't.
And what does that say about your dating life?
I didn't.
Oh man. Okay, so you're good. You're good. So I thought about it for a bit, and I was like definitely viciously scrolling through like the monster manual shit because I was just like, listen, first of all, I only know the monsters at this point that I've encountered, not all the monsters that exist in D&D period. But when I thought about it, and then I was like, okay, I think it would be a Nothic specifically because of the way that they just like unmake themselves into this little creature because of their obsession with like arcane knowledge. I think is pretty much the way that I am about like specifically the TTRPG hyperfixation, because especially now running my own game and the amount of like when I get into the Mind Palace situation and I'm like rotting from the inside because of the maladaptive daydreaming. I've told this to my players, but especially recently, I'm very big on like music, and I specifically see that's most of my prep is listening to playlists because I just go into a fucking spiral about envisioning the scenes and the interactions through music. So recently we've had situations where I'm like, as soon as I realize the thing is happening, I find the song that is fucking perfect for it. And then I'm like, I'm sitting at my 8-hour work week listening to the same song on repeat for 8 fucking hours, and then probably more hours once I get home. Like a
She's probably still
maniac.
talking. We have no idea what she's saying.
No. Did you hear me at all?
Uh-oh.
You can't hear me. What? What happened?
I have no idea.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah. You froze and
I hate that. Okay, I'm so sorry. Where did I leave off?
About how you like pick when you have things you want. Sorry. When you have like scenes you want to have happen in a campaign, or you will find a song to like define that.
Yes. Okay, so I find a song, and then recently that song I will literally go to work, and from the moment I get to work for 8 straight hours, I'm listening to the same song on fucking repeat, just living in that scene for the whole duration of my day, and even sometime after I get home. And I'm like, that descent into madness and obsession feels like Nothic coded. What that says about my fucking dating life is just, I don't know. Someone's gonna have to be really fucking prepared for that type of energy. And I'm like, if you're good with me listening to the same song for 12 hours, then we'll be great.
Why
just
not?
let me descend into madness.
That's all it is. And be there on the other side. That's all you need.
Just hold me when I come out of my fucking fever dream.
The brain rot. Okay, I was thinking about it, and I just instinctively remembered that flumps are a thing, and then so I googled them, and they just kind of float around the Underdark and like to learn about philosophy. And if they encounter a bad thought, they turn red and get angry. And I feel like that's my vibe. Just collecting info, just floating around, being chill.
I would agree.
Like an Underdark jellyfish. Just vibing.
I like that.
Until there's a bad thought and you're like, nope.
Yeah. I don't know what that says about my dating life, aside from, well, yes, I do. Thing of like, I will stay in situations until they get real bad, and then yes, I will turn red and get angry and burn the bridge and salt the earth.
Yeah.
And then just go back to floating.
And just keep on floating.
Keep on floating.
Wonderful.
So yeah, we're just a Nothic and a flump in a trench coat.
Nothic and a flump.
I love it. So where did you encounter a Nothic?
Oh, I used them.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. We had a situation again. My campaign that I run is a Strixhaven campaign by the skin of its teeth, and I take a lot of liberties, and it's very homebrew at this point.
It's set in a college. It's called Strixhaven.
That is about the canon. Yeah,
got it.
That's about what we took from the book. But I had it to be where the Witherbloom dragon runs the detention bog in her human form.
Ooh.
And so a part of the detention bog is I put Nothics as like the creatures that kind of inhabited it. And so the players have to cross the detention bog, retrieve this crate, and bring it back over. The Nothics are specifically attracted to arcane items, which all of them have.
Right.
So they encounter them and they try to like steal things. They're actually not like super aggressive.
No.
So their main objective is to steal things from the players. And that's kind of, a good punishment for having done shit you weren't supposed to. But the Nothics are very much like her pets that she cares for. And because it is a magic school and it's a very magic centered city that they're in, I feel like Nothics would happen, and like they are attracted to the school because it's such a concentration of magic, and she just kind of takes them in and cares for them.
That makes sense.
Because they were once, great wizards that just got in too deep.
A little too lost in the sauce.
Too lost in the sauce.
We had one of the first campaigns I played in. I think it was the first campaign I played in. it was Lost Mines of Phandelver, and one of the in the caverns under this building, there was a Nothic there, and I remember one of our party members befriended. Don't ask me how. Befriended the Nothic,
Oh.
and I don't know if they kept it. I want to say kept it as a pet, but it was underneath this house, so they took over the house and kept the Nothic like in the house.
It was like a Smeagol companion.
Yeah, it was like a companion, like the Doctor. So it was their companion, and it was just a Nothic. So instead of killing a Nothic, we were like, oh, let's just make it friends.
Just let them hang out.
Yeah, I mean, they just really want like magic shit.
Right.
They're not super like they won't aggro on you unless you aggro on them.
Right.
Like they just want to hoard little magic things.
They just want shinies.
So let me ask you this question, because I was watching a video earlier today on TikTok, and it was the whole debate of XP versus milestone leveling up in campaigns, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, and my contention is like with if you play using XP. I feel like you tend to have
more murder hobo.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. You
Or
have
more- it's
parties
more
that tend to
like-
be murder hobos
Yeah.
because they want to clear the level. It's like the old video game syndrome. You got to clear the level,
Or
but
it's more like
when you play
antagonistic.
Milestone, yeah,
Because it's like players
And,
being
like, when
like,
you do
I want the
Milestone, then
XP, and so I'm going to
Yeah.
do this, and like you can't do that because I need the XP. Whereas if it's milestone, then everybody's leveling.
So what's
Yeah.
your take on that?
I'd have to agree. I think going off of XP, and again, it's the element of like there is a table for everybody.
Mhm.
If you are like super into combat and crunch,
Oh,
I think
sure.
XP is the way to go
Yeah.
because that's very rewarding. It's like the XP sets it up to a point where like you are being rewarded for getting into combat all the time.
Right.
And if that's the thing you find joy in, like follow your truth.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it is definitely a system I think that rewards that more. Unless you were like I've thought about like if I were to do an XP situation, I think I would reward it in the same way that like video games do that as well. Is
Mhm.
like you get XP for sure for killing things, but you also get XP for discovering new areas. You
Mhm.
get XP for clearing
Right.
like different points in the story and missions and things like that. So I feel like if I was to do an XP system, that's probably what I would do. So there would still be an element of reward if you are finding creative solutions. But I think traditionally, yeah, XP definitely encourages more combat centered stuff.
Right.
We've always been milestone girlies because we will sit there for fucking 8 hours role playing and not touch our dice. So
Right.
ain't no way
Yeah.
that I would
Yeah.
do that. Also, I don't like math. I'm not gonna fucking do math.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
I would not want to run a D&D version of XP. Like what VTM does is like all of my characters play a bit like older kindred, so they had some experience points to spend, and then
Mhm.
generally like every session you play, you get like one experience point, and then if you like defeat a big boss, you do something particularly good or whatever, you can get more as the
Right.
kind of storyteller rewards it. But I always give everyone the same amount. And like I just it's easier to keep track of, like, so you don't have to worry about like one character getting ahead of the others or being overpowered and then someone trying to have like too much main character syndrome. And also it's just so like the VTM way of doing experience points, because those are used to like buy more powers and disciplines or different skills or relationships or things like that version of XP is fine, but like for D&D I would never want to run that. It's too much math, and I just I think that it's too easy for like parties to get imbalanced, and it's also harder for me to be like, oh well, how do I decide what is the correct amount of XP for this interaction?
Right.
Like that feels
Yeah.
kind of arbitrary, which I guess like milestone
Yeah.
leveling is too in a sense. Cause like, well, when do you earn a level? But at least that it's simpler, right? Then it's like,
Sure.
I feel like we should
Absolutely.
get 500 for this and not 250. Like I don't
Right.
I don't want to do all that. It's not my bag, but like if it's your thing, go for it.
Yeah, like you said, if you're totally into just if you want to be a combat heavy campaign, by all means, that's a great way to do it. I
If
mean,
you
I
want to grind through
suppose,
dungeon crawls
yeah,
and be strategic and do it.
I suppose you could do the same thing, with XP if you kill something, you get the XP. But like you said, if you find a creative way to not kill that creature and be able to advance in the adventure that way, maybe you still get the XP for the same version for just not killing.
It's just an element of how you choose to reward your
Yeah,
players.
yeah. Interesting. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's
I mean, we have
debate.
it's also milestone can have its own faults because you can have DMs that we talked about this a couple times because in comparison of our current campaign to our previous, we played that previous campaign for over a year, almost 2, I think. And we were playing bi-weekly, if not sometimes 3 times a month.
Yeah.
And these were sessions that we were playing like 8 to 10 hours.
Yeah, they were long.
Every time. And sometimes we'd play twice in a weekend because we were lost in the sauce in this campaign. For real. It was like we were very invested in like tapping our fucking veins every chance we got. So like we did that much gameplay and we gained 1 level in the entire time we were in it.
Yeah.
So like,
oh my God, yeah.
To each their own, but I think we should have had a little bit more in that specific situation. Whereas ours, like I think you guys have just gained your 4th level and we've hit a year.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one in part because of the way that Strixhaven structures their levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to have them play this for 6 years and like have gotten 3 levels out of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Strixhaven is meant to take you from 1 to 10. You can drop it at whatever level you want, but like by the time they graduate, they should be at 10th level.
Right.
So it's like once we hit certain points in the year, or every time they take an exam, they gain a level.
Right.
So it's like 2 major points in which you're supposed to have gotten a level. Right now, we're in between the first year and the second year, and we're having a little bit of like a ball situation that's just starting to wrap up. But the ball has taken longer than I expected because we've been doing a lot of serious hardcore. I should have known. But but I was like thinking, well, the ball's going to take maybe 2. It's now 3, like 3 full sessions. But by the end of it, I was like, yeah, y'all fucking gain a level. We've done so much shit while we're out in this goddamn ball. Are you kidding me? No, fuck it. So now it's going to be 1 to 11, but like that doesn't
whatever. But
matter that much.
I'm just trying to get us up to 1 more so I can have mounted combatant when we graduate.
Well, you'll get it soon enough.
Because I've made the deal with Alex. My character has a griffin, and it's a baby right now. She's like, you can't have your dead mother's adult griffin. I'm so sorry. I refuse to run mounted
at level 4. That's not happening.
And I'm like, that's fair. That's fair. The worst you're going to hear is no, or you get a baby griffin instead. But I was like, okay, I said that I will wait until like the level 12 ASI to take mounted combatant, because then we'll either have been graduated for a few years or be like right after. It's like, it'll make more sense.
That gives the griffin time to age, time to get trained in flying combat and all that shit. Time for you to train in flying combat.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I'm like, you're not making me deal with this flying shit when you're at level 4.
No. You can't have like a trained war griffin your freshman year of Magic
no, I'm
college.
so sorry. Y'all hustle hard and I respect it. I do.
Yeah, it's just the griffin's just killing everyone that we're fighting. Like it's like a play, it's a play fight at school. It's like a duel. And Zephyrius, her mom's griffin, is just murdering people because he's huge.
Yeah, like
he's
no,
just
we're not
swiping
doing this.
people with a claw, gutting students. We can't have that. That's too much. He's all gas, no break. He only knows go.
I already give y'all advantage for the dumbest fucking reasons just because I feel like it. So
nice, very nice. All right, I know we're getting close to the end of time here, so let me. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I've got one final question for you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to modify my question a little bit. So if you had to go on a quest, what one famous fictional character would you want in your party? If you had,
This is hard.
right?
This is a hard one.
You're asking two very fantasy-focused bitches. Like, the amount of books we've read, the amount of games we've played, the movies, the shows,
God, I forgot about
alone.
games.
You had to pick one.
I'm thankful you narrowed it to one and not like, hey, what's your whole party? Because then we'd be here for 3 more
yeah.
hours.
That would be
so
that
sorry.
would
Totally.
be easier for me because I could pick like 3.
That would be a whole episode on its own.
I mean, I'll
God.
just go with like my initial gut instinct, because like I read the Throne of Glass series recently, and Aelin Galathynius from that would be really nice because she was like trained as an assassin and she has like all of these fire powers, and she would be helpful. She would be very helpful to have along.
That's a good one.
This is so fucking hard. I think one of my soft spot decisions would be Varric Tethras from Dragon Age.
Yeah, Varric.
Because like when I played Hawk, I was like, yeah, no, this is my best friend in every fucking sense of the word. And I loved their relationship so much. And I was just like, I just love Varric. And I feel like if we were in real life traveling together, it would be that exact same like dynamic as Hawk. And I just have a big soft spot for that character.
Hawk would also be really nice.
Hawk would also be dope. Specifically Mage Hawk.
Yeah.
Because there's no other correct answer.
I'm
so sorry. Get fucked.
Iron Bull would be fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it would.
Don't take. Hey now. Don't take that tone with me. When you were the woman.
These are stones and glass houses.
Yeah, exactly. When you were the woman that told me that somewhere on some developer's computer, Iron Bull's canonical dick exists. You're the person who gave that information.
And it's a crime that they've kept that from the community, to be honest.
That's right.
So, no. You don't know. No. Who else would be good?
I'm surprised you're not saying any Critical Role characters.
Oh
fuck! I forgot about Critical Role. There's so many fandoms. I forget about my children.
Right.
I forget about my children.
Oh my gosh. Vax would be really good. So the twins, Vex and Vax would be great.
Ooh. I would love to be like fucking dropped in a court of fan flowers.
That'd be fun.
Like I can't tell you who I would pick at that point because I love them all so much, but can I elect to be, I know this is not the question. Can I just be dropped there?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to be just dropped into Vox Machina. That would be cool. Then I wouldn't have to pick.
Well, so let's do this. Yeah, I was gonna say, so let's do that question. What that'd be the opposite question. If you could be a character, if you could be a character in another party, what party would you be? What party would you want to be a part of?
Ooh, I would, as traumatic as this would probably be, Crown of Candy.
Oh.
Like, in there would be dope. Just because the story's so fucking good, and it's like goddamn Game of Thrones, and you'd be crying and then realizing it's about a conversation between a gummy bear and a piece of cake. But it's so good. And that's like that. Like we're trauma hosts, so we love to role play like really dark, gritty, shit, like emotionally deep stories. Love that shit.
Nice. That's fantastic. I like that.
Yeah.
Never After would also be really fun. Just I really liked that world of like the dark fairy tale stuff. The Intrepid Heroes also would be a fucking blast.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it's between the Court of Fae and Flower stuff and then Crown of Candy. For sure. I feel like I would be I'd probably be a Meatlander if I'm going to be honest. Either Meatlander or like Pasta Nation.
That's another good question. Yeah, what like Crown of Candy house? Like I would either be
so
like
we got down this rabbit hole. My goodness.
Dairy Island.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. We're here now.
Because like I don't feel like I'm a vegetable. I don't really feel like I'm a fruit person. I'm not meat either.
I could honestly see you as a little fungi, a little mold person.
I could be a little mold person or like a dairy islander.
Yeah. I was going to say dairy too.
And pale.
As lactose intolerant as you are.
I feel like it would go away in that AU.
It would go away if you were made
I
of
think so.
If you were made of
You
dairy.
can't be allergic to yourself, you just die.
You build up a tolerance.
Yeah. Over time.
All right. Well, again, Mariah, Alejandra, thank you so much for joining the podcast tonight. It's been a pleasure talking to you both. Everybody, please check out their podcast, Table Talk on what are you on Apple, Spotify, on all the
we're everywhere that you can
everywhere.
listen to a podcast. Our social medias are all at Table Talk RPG on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Technically YouTube, though we haven't posted anything on there yet.
Yep.
But yeah, pretty much everywhere you can find us there.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much. Have yourselves a great evening, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Legends, Loot, and Lore. We hope you've enjoyed immersing yourself in the realms of legends, uncovering hidden loot, and delving into captivating lore. But the journey doesn't end here. For exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and access to our community, visit legendslootandlore.supercast.com. There you'll be able to support the podcast, where you can join our Discord server for lively discussions and subscriber-only content, and connect with fellow enthusiasts. Stay connected with us on Instagram and Facebook at Legends, Loot, and Lore to continue on the quest. By following our social media channels, you'll be the first to know about upcoming episodes, bonus content, and exciting announcements. If you've enjoyed your time with us, we kindly ask you to rate and subscribe to this podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue producing captivating episodes and embarking on new quests. Thank you for being a part of our journey. We're thrilled to have you by our side as we unravel the legends, uncover the loot, and delve deeper into the lore. Until next time.